And welcome to another edition of Real Talks. I'm your host, David Steele. So this is one of the first big streams of the year. Um, so before we get started, as everybody may or may not have seen in the headline, this is going to be not necessarily in order, but some of the major films, top 10, top 11, maybe top 10 with a couple of honorable mentions, films that are going to be coming out in 2024 that are some of the most anticipated. And Deadpool, how are you today? I'm well, thank you. Um, so, um, this is going to be top 10 with a couple of honorable mention films that'll be coming up. But before we get into that, and there was, you know, when certain people hit the news, it shakes things up. And Tom Cruise is one of those people. And that isn't false, guys. He actually left Paramount after 25 years with them. We don't know why, but he is now moving over to Warner Brothers. So, I mean, this is huge, just in general. So I'm going to read this quickly from the Hollywood Reporter, and then I'm going to read the statement that Warner Brothers put out, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So this is from, this is from the THR, and basically it says that Tom Cruise has set up shop at Warner Brothers with a new partnership. Warner Brothers Discovery Chief David Zaslav, excuse me, guys, still getting over a cough, helped shepherd the deal with Cruise, who will produce, develop, and star in original feature films at Warner Brothers. And this is exactly what they needed. Okay, Tom Cruise is setting up shop at the Warner Brothers lot in a strategic new partnership that Warner Brothers Discovery Chief David Zaslav helped shepherd. Cruise will team with movie studio chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pan Abbey in jointly developing and producing original and franchise theatrical films for the world-famous actor. Cruise and his production company will have offices on the WB lot in Burbank. The pact, which commences this year, isn't a traditional first-look deal, insiders say. Luring Cruise into the fold is a coup for Zaslav, Abbey, and DeLuca, considering how one of his last movies who carried clout around the world. And especially since he's otherwise remained a free agent who's has had a formal deal with Paramount, home of his two biggest franchises, Mission Impossible and Top Gun, since 2006. Insiders stress that Cruise will continue to work with other movie studios, including Paramount, from whom he's continuing to shoot the last Mission Impossible film. But we can kind of really realize that this is his last movie. And I think everybody knew this was going to be his last Mission Impossible movie with Paramount. He's making a space adventure movie for Universal that will see him become the first civilian to walk outside of the ISS, or the International Space Station. Only Tom Cruise could do that, by the way. Teaming with Warner Brothers gives Cruise additional security at the time of enormous change for Hollywood's legacy movie studios, some of whom are having to reconsider spending hundreds of millions of dollars on franchise tentpoles. This includes Paramount, which could be sold in the next year or so, as one of the potential suitors is WB. Specific projects have been announced as part of the new WBD partnership with Cruise, which is making a homecoming of sorts. His roster of films with Warner's includes Edge Trip Tomorrow, Rock of Ages, Magnolia, Eyes Wide Shut, Interview with a Vampire, and Risky Business, which put him on the map. Our vision from day one has been to rebuild this iconic studio to the height of its glory days. And in fact, when we sat down with David Zaslav to talk about joining the Warner Brothers Discovery team, he said to us, "We are on a mission to bring Warner Brothers back." Excuse me. We have the best resources, story IP, and talent in the house, and we need to bring Tom Cruise to Warner Brothers. Today, that becomes a reality, and we are one step closer to achieving our ambition, says DeLuca and Abney in a statement. I'll read the full statement in a couple minutes. The duo serves as co-CEOs of the Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group. Added Cruise, I have great respect and admiration for David, Pam, and Mike and the entire team at WBD and their commitment to movies, movie fans, and the theatrical experience. I look forward to making great movies together. Over the course of his 5-decade career as an actor and producer, Cruise's movies have earned, get this, guys, nearly $13 billion worldwide, a virtually incomparable achievement, according to the release of the new partnership. And Cruise and Paramount, however, faced tough times last year when Dead Reckoning Part 1 disappointingly badly at the global box office. Okay, couple things. Number one, isn't he doing this? I don't know. That would be hilarious if it would be voice acting. That would be hilarious. So a couple things off the top. Number one, this is a big deal. It may not seem like it, but a guy he's been a rock at Paramount for the last 25 years. Okay. An absolute rock. I mean, his whole second career started at Paramount. So anybody who doesn't know, okay, his little production, it's not little now, it's pretty big. His production team, okay, his production company, he started with Paul Wagner all the way back in 1996 for the original Mission Impossible. And by the way, guys, and I'll throw the link up there if I can find it. Well, when I find it, it will link to all of the Mission Impossible films, and you guys can watch my reviews on all of that. So at that point, he had a whole second career, and he forego his salary to do the stunts and everything else. All of that being said, he's been with Paramount, and he's had more. And now he's gone through a lot of directors, truth be told. Okay, but he has gotten better and better and better and better with the franchise, and that's something that's, I mean, Fallout is arguably the best one, but nonetheless, it's one of those things where for the past, I would say, even 15 years, he's worked with one guy, and that's Chris McQuarrie, right? And ever since then, those two have been a staple. So that all being said, the fact that, and I think part of this too is of what happened this year. Okay, so Mission Impossible was set to come out. It did come out, but Oppenheimer really took because Christopher Nolan had some clout, he inserted himself and made sure that after that first week of Dead Reckoning, they no longer had the PLFs, or the premium large formats. And what ended up happening was that money that it was going to go to Mission Impossible went to Oppenheimer. And it was such a big hit that it went back a couple of times. And maybe that was a reason why. We don't know. But, I mean, don't forget, this guy only just 2 years ago, he had the largest, biggest blockbuster film in the world in Maverick, Top Gun Maverick, which made, close to $1.5 billion. The fact that he's going to be producing his own films, which he's been doing for years, but he's developing his own films and everything else, this is a big deal. And the fact that, Warner Brothers was able to get him, it's even a bigger deal because they needed something. They've had a very bad year, okay, just in general. Zaslav mainly, but Warner Brothers, outside of Barbie, okay, and that was a huge hit for them, and they've had a couple of other decent movies, they haven't really done that well. So when you can land a Tom Cruise, in comparison, it's like landing that huge free agent in sports that's going to put everybody in the seats. This is going to draw people because a couple of things about Tom Cruise. Number one, he's a perfectionist. He isn't going to half-ass anything. Okay, he's going to do everything to the nth degree. He's going to make sure it's not a control freak, but he wants to have his footprint on everything in the process. Number two, he's still a box office draw, right? The man's 65 years old and he's still kicking butt. You know, there aren't a lot of people that actually have that kind of charisma or wherewithal that can say they've done this since he's 45 years. Okay. So this is huge. And I mean, like I said before, Tom Cruise is the only person that I can think of that would say, oh yeah, I'm going to be the first one to walk in space and not have CGI. That's what kind of clout Tom Cruise has. People don't understand that. I mean, the whole story goes that he was working on Mission Impossible, and Joseph Kosinski flew over to Paris, and he pitched Maverick to him, and he picked up the phone and called the CEO. He had the CEO's number of Paramount on speed dial. He's like, yeah, we're making this movie. He's like, okay. He's like, I only have one condition. Val Kilmer has to be in it. Done. And then the pandemic hit. And we waited. And we waited. And we waited. And there was a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure from a lot of different people behind closed doors to put this on streaming. And he knew what he had. He knew what he had. And he believed in himself. And he bet on himself. Which, obviously, we know what happened. $1.5 billion later. Arguably one of the best sequels to a film that, many years later. So, anyways, this is the statement that Warner Brothers put out regarding Tom Cruise. So, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group and Tom Cruise to jointly develop projects theatrical starting in 2024 under a new strategic partnership. Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group's co-chair and co-CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abbey and Tom Cruise today announced they will jointly develop and produce original and franchise theatrical films starring Cruise in 2024 under a strategic new partnership between WBD and Cruise. His production company will have offices, as I said, and that was part of the article. So it goes on to talk about how his partnership marks a return from the films that he made mention of. So basically it says, basically says, DeLuca and Abbey put out a statement. We're thrilled to have Tom, an absolute legend in the film industry. Our vision from day one was to rebuild this iconic studio to the heights of its glory days. And in fact, when we sat down with David Zaslav to talk about joining the Warner Brothers Discovery team, he said we're on a mission to bring Warner Brothers back. We have the best resources, story IP. This was a quote in the, they took it from that. So, yeah, I mean, basically the statement that I've read in the THR is basically a statement here. But this is a coup, as far as I'm concerned. This is a huge get for Warner Brothers and what they're doing, and it will be very interesting to see what transpires over the next, really 2 to 3 years, because once Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning comes out, and that's not going to be until 2025, okay? They're already going to have things lined up. And when they have things lined up, so really we're not going to see anything from him, from Warner Brothers, until probably 2027, if I had to guess. Because Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning comes out in 2025. And then they're doing pre-production and everything else. Once they know what they're going to do, then they'll start announcing it. Okay. But I felt like that was a necessary story to get off, because Tom Cruise, I've said it before, not only is I believe he's the last movie star in Hollywood, he moves the needle. It doesn't matter. He moves the needle. Anyways, this is definitely going to move the needle for him. Okay, guys. So on to the. This is big for WB, and it's crazy that just a few months ago that there were talks being in serious debt shutdown. He saved Hollywood. Now he saves WB. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, no, you're right, and he did. I mean, look, hell, when you even have Steven Spielberg come out and said you saved Hollywood. I mean, there are only a few people, I mean, Scorsese was one of them, but Spielberg, Tom Cruise, they're right up there, you know. Um, and as far as WB being in debt, look, they don't mind paying, and you got to understand something too. Cruise is going to forego his salary. So the way Tom Cruise works is he'll take like the minimal salary he can because he'll take points. Okay, what are called points in the industry? So points are something where if a film hits a certain benchmark with grossing, so take a couple of these films here. Okay, so we'll take on the left here, not so much A Few Good Men because he was in his early career there, but we'll take these two films. Uh, Top Gun Maverick, okay, and Mission Impossible. I want to say that's it's not Fallout. I'll think of the subtitle. Anyways, one of the Mission Impossible films. What he does is, okay, he knows the film's going to do well no matter what. So he'll take a minimal amount, okay, and then he'll go on and he'll say, look, if this film makes $500 million, which he knows it's going to make, I get a $10 million bonus. If this film makes $750 million, I get a $20 million bonus. And so, Rogue Nation, thank you. I was just thinking of the name. It's Rogue Nation. Okay, so what ends up happening is that he knows the movie's going to make money, so he'll just take it on the back end. Okay, and once you are able to do that a couple of times, like these two movies here, Top Gun Maverick and Fallout, or Rogue Nation, rather, you're set. Then you can do that for every movie. Now, A Few Good Men was a little different. Okay, A Few Good Men, he was still young, for lack of a better word. I mean, he was still that was 1992. Okay, he was still learning the ropes. I mean, he was a star at that point. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't that mega. I mean, 1986 Top Gun put him in the next stratosphere, literally and figuratively. But A Few Good Men was still one of those where he had to play his cards. So, but that's what he does. That's what he does. So, okay. So let's move on to the meat and potatoes of the stream. So this is all going to be about like I said, the top 8 to top 10 most anticipated films of 2024. Now, this isn't going to be from 10 to 1. I'm just going to go through them, and then we'll talk about them as we progress. Okay? So the first one is a film that I think has been going on, a franchise that has been going on way too long. It's essentially, it needs something, okay? And I'm talking about the Alien franchise. The Alien franchise is one of those franchises that Aliens was a magnificent movie back in 1986. Everything since then has been subpar, okay? Whether it's, once again, this is from what I remember and everything else. I'm even talking about Prometheus too. I mean, I loved it. I loved Michael Fassbender. He was like one of the few things that was really good about that. I wish we could have seen that continue, but okay. So that all being said, we have a new Alien movie coming out, and I like Covenant. I own Covenant on Blu-ray. I thought it was a good, solid movie. I mean, it wasn't great. it was a direct follow-up to Prometheus. Um, so I was interested in that part of the story. That being said, though, I think I'm kind of interested to see where they go with this. So this is due to come out. So first, I should say, so this is due to come out in August. So this is due to come out in August, middle of August. It stars Kaylee Spaten. She actually just starred in Priscilla. So I think that, she's not a bad actress. And Isabella Moran and David Johnson. Fed Alvarez, okay, is set to direct this, and he hasn't directed a film since 2018. So that is going to tell you something right there. This was actually scheduled to premiere on Hulu, and then they changed it to a theatrical release. I am probably going to pass on this just because, you know what? It's the same. It's the same plot. It's the same premise. It's the same. It's the same thing every single time. It's just, how are you going to? What are the aliens going to do this time, right? And that's the big thing. Truth be told, it still scares the ever-living daylights out of me. That is the one thing in cinema that still scares me to this day. But yeah, I don't think that it's dead on arrival. It really is, because the thing is that I don't want to say nobody cares about it, but something needs to happen. Something really needs to happen in order to make it worthwhile. So I don't know. I mean, I'm curious about it. But at the same time, you look at where it's coming out, and that's August. I'm not too sure how well that's going to do. So we'll see. We'll see. So let's move on. What do you guys think about Alien? Do you like Aliens? Do you think that do you like Alien versus Predator? Would you like to see another one of those instead of one of this? Leave me your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay. So let's move on to another film that I think is going to get a little more buzz around the block. And I'm talking about Beetlejuice. Now, anybody who's anybody, and I remember Beetlejuice. I want to say it was 1987. I had such a good time with it back then. It was a blast. This is a movie, I'll be honest, I am definitely I'm looking forward to seeing. I love Michael Keaton anyways. I think he's a phenomenal actor. He's had a whole second career ever since Birdman, and he's just really translated into a great actor. And I'm really happy to see he's coming back. We're getting Winona Ryder back, so that's helpful. That being said, I think that's going to be a fun. I think that's going to be a fun time. I really do. He's just, and it's one of those things where the makeup is going to hide anything, right? I mean, he's going to look really good. Tim Burton is coming back and directing this. The plot of Beetlejuice 2 is sus. I don't even know what the plot is. So you know more than me. I have not even heard anything about the plot. So that's kind of good that I don't know anything. But we'll see. I think this is going to be, look, it's not going to blow up anything, and I think it's going to be a fun time though. I think I think him coming back, if they'd get somebody to recast as Beetlejuice, I think that would have been the wrong thing to do. You're getting Winona Ryder coming back, you're getting Michael Keaton coming back, you're getting, some fresh faces in Jenna Ortega, like I said. I think this is going to be a good time. This is going to be a good time. And so this comes out in September. So, and this is produced, like I said, by Tim Burton, David Geffen, and believe it or not, guess who is going to be producing this? He's another producer on it. It's Brad Pitt. So, Brad Pitt is going to be producing this. So this is going to be a good time. Um, so let's. So what do you guys think about Beetlejuice? Are you happy that they're actually making a sequel, or would you have rather just let enough be alone? Are you going to go see Beetlejuice? Who's your favorite character so far that you know that's in there? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I will get back to everybody. Okay, so the next movie, and I'm moving kind of quick because we've got we've got a lot of movies to go through, so I'm kind of just not rushing through these, but I want to make sure um, we get all of these in. So, okay. Um, so the next one looks, once again, Hollywood is all about fads. And this is just staying with the trend. But this one looks really good. And that's the Bob Marley movie. So this looks, from the trailer that has been I've seen so far, it looks halfway decent. Kingsley Ben Adder, he was actually, so everybody who's watched Secret Invasion, he was actually the main bad guy. So I think that's going to be, I think he's going to do a really good job um, playing Bob Marley. So that's going to be interesting. I think this is the kind of movie we need right now, too, to be absolutely honest. Something a little bit uplifting and a little bit lighter, if you will. So we'll see what happens with this. I mean, I'm not, I think I think he's got a chance. This is a chance to be a good. When we talk about musical biopics, we have good ones and we have bad ones. I think this could be in the latter. I think it could be a very good one. He looks the part. Major part of it is looking the part. He doesn't necessarily have to sing everything, but make us believe it, right? And that's the thing. Make us believe it. And if you can do that, then you've done your job. So I think it will be good. I think it will be a very solid. I'm looking forward to see the book of clearances Friday. Very good. Nice. I think I've heard something about that. I'm not too sure. I'll have to catch up on that one. But that is, yeah, this looks really good for what it is. I think Bob Marley is going to. So that I should say that's going to get released on Valentine's Day, right? I mean that's actually the perfect way to go. So let's move on real quick. And so this next one, and I'm just gonna do this real quick, guys. Hold on. So okay. Okay. So This one I think is probably the most anticipated film of the year, and I'll be shocked if it's not. And I know this is your most anticipated film of the year, Deadpool, and it's Deadpool 3. This is a lot of ramifications in general, but I think that it's one of those things where Ryan Reynolds has made a living off of um, really making it work, right? His marketing is second to none. Um, so I can't wait to see what they do with this, just like everybody else. Um, and I think that it's one of those things where, I personally have stayed away from the leaks. I personally have stayed away from the leaks because I don't want anything ruined. Um, but you know, we all know that this. I mean, this is going to blow the box office up. Um, so this comes out at the end of July, July 26th. So as you can see right there, the two main stars, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. And obviously, Jackman looks very, very good. You wouldn't know that he's 50 something years old. Brianna Hildenbrand, okay, she stars in it too. And Jennifer Garner's coming back. And that's going to be an interesting little nugget because you know that there's going to be a lot of jokes that they're going to pay off. A lot of jokes. I can't wait just to sit down and just have a good time and just relax. And it's going to be interesting to see where the Marvel goes with this. Ryan Reynolds is so meticulous that he won't put out a bad. Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly. He won't put out a bad movie, you know. But yeah, I think this looks. I think everybody is most looking forward toward the jokes, right? Because you know what Ryan Reynolds is about, and that's it. This is going to be some of the funniest humor you've ever heard in your life. And they're not going to hold back either. That's the thing. So this actually comes out, as I said, July 26th. So it's right at the end of July. And that's another thing, guys. This isn't a stacked summer. This isn't like this last summer. Next summer is going to be like that. We're going to have a ton of films. This one's not so much. So I think that that's going to be a really good time. What do you guys think? Is Deadpool 3 going to be one of is it the top 10 most anticipated movies of this year? Leave me your thoughts down in the comments. This is big for the MCU. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, that's what I was going to get at too, is it will be interesting to see how they go and do the whole Kang thing. But I think, the post-credit scene will tell a lot. Okay, so let's move on to another movie. This is the movie that I think I'm most, in the near future at least, am really looking forward to. And this is when I think it's really going to start. It's Dune. This movie, okay. I saw Dune in theaters in 2019, right before the pandemic. I loved it. I had no idea. I heard of the 1984 debacle that Kyle MacLachlan was in, David Lynch. I haven't seen it, but this is Sting was in that, by the way. Yeah, this was very, very good. The thing was that I think a lot of people were duped when they said when Zendaya was going to be it. They thought, oh, well, she's going to have to be in it quite a bit because, she's in the trailer, right? And the thing is that, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen this, by the way, she's in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. And that kind of, I don't want to say rub people the wrong way, but definitely, made some people wary. Um, it was one of those things where, um, it was one of those things where you wondered, right? And they didn't want to, Warner Brothers didn't want to film both at the same time, and it was just a mess for a lot of different reasons. But this looks really, really good. The cast is stacked. And I'm going to blow this up here for you guys to see. It's stacked. So not only do we have familiar faces coming back, like Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, but we have brand new faces coming back. We have brand new faces coming in. Okay, we have Florence Pugh. We have Javier Bardem. We have Christopher Walken. We have, a ton of talent. Austin Butler. I can't wait to see this. And I really believe that it's a good thing that it didn't come out this year. Because this is a great, just this shot alone, this looks like a very good visual epic movie. And I think this is going to be nominated, without going into any predictions, this is going to be nominated for a lot of movies, a lot of Oscars next year. It really will. It really, really will. And I don't think that there's a, if this had come out this year, I don't think it would have, I don't think he would have really gotten that many nominations. I really don't. So it's this looks really good. I'm eager. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch the first Dune again. So I think a few surprises as challengers, and so I'm going to be getting to a couple of these, but challengers: Joker's 2, and Gladiator 2, with Madam Web, Venom 3, and Craven. Yeah, absolutely, definitely, and we're going to get into a couple of those in a couple of minutes because they are definitely anticipated films. So let's hop in. I think challenges is going to be another one of those, but let's get into another one that I think is going to. I have yet to. So let's talk about another one because there. So that is a really anticipated movie, but this is also going to be a really anticipated movie, Furiosa. I remember watching Mad Max Fury Road, and I fell asleep the first time. I fell asleep. No joke. I fell asleep the first time. And then I said, you know what? Let me go back and give it another chance because that's not fair that, And I did. And it was really good. It was really, really good. And so it's been a while. I have to actually have to go back and watch it again. But from what I remember, okay, it was stunning. Now, it was interesting because that movie ended up winning 4 or 5 Oscars. And that was kind of like the surprise of the night. So I'm really curious to see what George Miller has up his sleeve. Now, anybody who is not familiar with the character, this is Charlize Theron's character in Fury Road. So Anna Taylor-Joy is starring in this, and Chris Hemsworth is also in this. So they're the two main people in this, and it will be interesting to see where they go from here. I mean, not much is known about the story except we just know about the character. This is her. This is a spinoff essentially. So as I said, whoops, as I said, she is um, she is this is her. So this is supposed to be a younger Anna Taylor or a younger Furiosa, and it will be interesting. If it's anything like Fury Road is, it's going to do really, really well. Um, Now this comes out the 24th, so this is right at the end of May, which is premium slotting in the grand scheme of things. So, and she is range too. I mean, don't forget, she was. This is the same person that did the menu a couple years ago. So it looks interesting. I have my reservations about Furiosa. These spinoffs kill me, sort of like what we were talking about Aliens. So yeah, no, I agree with you. Um, the the thing is, though, I think that the difference there, I think, Deadpool is this: that Aliens has one type of story, right? Let's face it, aliens kill the people. How many times can you see the same copy and paste story? The difference, I think, is we're getting a different. She is an actual character, right? We are seeing her in her story. So we're seeing all the pitfalls she's going through. I agree with you, but I think there's a little bit of a different take on it. And not to mention, you're going to have action and everything else. Aliens is just basically, at the end of the day, a bunch of people running away from big aliens. That's it. They don't want to die. This is more of a challenging type of where did she go? What did she do? How did she do it type of thing. And we can already see she's a badass, right? So I think there's something to be said there. I agree with you, though. I do understand where you're coming from because it's one of those things where, you know, you just don't know, right? You just don't know. Um, okay. So let's move on. And let's move on to the next film. And this one is I'm interested in. I know I never saw the follow-up. So that being said, this is kind of let's get some of these off of here real quick, guys. Hold on for just a minute. So bear with me. Okay. Now it's one thing I don't like about this StreamYard is you can only fit 9 slides in there plus the camera. So when I'm going through and showing you guys a lot of films, right? It's one of those things where, and I'll edit this out. That I have to stop every now and then. And okay, so let's just okay, so the movie that I'm going to be talking about next, and I don't have the title there, is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So this looks, it's a whole new generation of fighters, if you will, Ghostbusters. And I never saw Afterlife. So I'm very curious to see what they do with it. Paul Rudd is not a bad actor. I mean, Marvel stuff aside, I think, it might be a good time for me to sit down and watch Ghostbusters just in general. Um, I think it's a good time. Um, so, a little bit of backstory about the movie, okay, is that this is actually coming out the end of March, okay. So, as I said, Paul Rudd, Dan Aykroyd is making a cameo in this, along with Ernie Hudson, which I think is cool. I got to be honest. Whenever you can incorporate the OG, okay, into the, I enjoyed Afterlife for the, for this, excuse me, for the nostalgia. Um, excuse me. Whenever you can incorporate the OG in there in some capacity, bringing Ernie Hudson back, Jan Aykroyd, I think that this is the way to go. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, I'm really curious to see. This is a get your popcorn movie and just enjoy it, because I think that that is going to be a fun time. And I do. I think it's going to be a fun time, and it should be enjoyed by a lot of people. So I'm really interested in seeing Ghostbusters, and I'll have to sit down and watch give Afterlife a run through, because I won't watch Ghostbusters 2. I won't. Sorry. I just there are some sequels that should never ever be made, and that's one of them. They should have never. You want to talk about trying to capitalize? That's exactly what they were trying to do. They were trying to capitalize on it, and didn't end up working out so well. Okay, so let's move to another movie that's going to be coming out later in the year, and that's Gladiator. This is a film that is 24 years old, and a lot of people said, "Well, did we really need a sequel?" And we're starting to see that with more and more movies now, right? We're starting to see sequels that, frankly, that the movie came out 25, 30 years ago, and now they're trying to bring it to a new generation. We were just talking about Ghostbusters. You've got Gladiator. You've got all these. I Only Want Heat is coming out, probably the next 4 or 5 years. Um, I want to see a continuation to a story. And that's what this is, I gather. They're bringing a lot of, obviously Russell Crowe is not coming back, but we do have we've got a stacked cast, by the way. They are bringing Connie Nielsen back. Paul Mescal, who's got critical acclaim for Aftersun. Okay. Denzel Washington. The fact that Ridley Scott could land Denzel Washington into a Gladiator. This is about the only kind of film he hasn't done. Think about it. He's done love stories. He's done war stories. I mean, he did Glory back in 1989, but he's done everything, right? So, two-time Academy Award winner, Denzel Washington. That's fantastic. Pedro Pascal. Arguably the hottest actor doing everything right now, whether it's The Mandalorian, whether it's The Last of Us. Now he's in Gladiator 2. Like I said, you're bringing Connie Nielsen back. Okay. It's going to be very interesting to see what story is told, right? And from whose perspective. So, but there is good look. Joaquin Phoenix, while he didn't win, he was nominated for an Oscar. Okay. Russell Crowe ended up winning Best Actor. Okay. Look, it ended up winning Best Picture back in 2000. So, if this is any kind of the caliber that the first one was, let's roll with it. Let's see what's going to go on with it. I mean, this is them building the sets there for it. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good film, solid film. This is definitely an Oscar contender. I mean, just because of the story. So actually, the guy that wrote this, David Scarpa, is the same one that wrote Napoleon. So he's worked with Scott before. He's actually worked with Joaquin Phoenix, believe it or not. So it will be interesting to see how that whole thing plays out. Um, are you guys excited for a new Gladiator, or do you think they should have just left well enough alone? Leave me your thoughts down in the comments. I'm really actually curious to hear what you guys think because, once again, that's a Best Picture winner, and to kind of resurrect it 25 years later, it's kind of hard. So I would be very curious to see what you guys thought. Yeah, definitely leave me your thoughts down in the comments. So now let's move to a fun movie. And that's what movies are supposed to be, right? Fun, enjoyable, good times. Um, so let's, and I'm talking about Godzilla versus Kong, The New Empire. This is going to be a fun time. This is a grab your pop. This is another grab your popcorn and just enjoy it because that's all this is going to be. That's all this is going to be. And so if this is any indication of what this, so that essentially, from what I gather, and for what the trailer looked like, is that they have to team up against this mega monster, whatever it is, and fight it. So I'm very curious to see what kind of monster. You know, I remember back in years ago watching something that was called Creature Double Feature. This is way back in the 80s when they had, no special effects and whatever else. And it's just now to see it, they had Godzilla on there a couple times. And now to see that actually, in the big screen, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So I'm looking forward to this, but I may have to go back and watch the first one. So, but okay, let's continue on. And like I said, I'm trying to go through these at a decent clip, so because there is a lot, and I mean a lot to get to. So just finished loading these on here. So what I'm going to do here is do all of these because I think I can fit them all there, and then we can just talk about them as we go. We don't have that many left. So I should say this, guys, that tomorrow I do have a very cool interview coming up for you guys. It's going to be at 10 Pacific. His name is Daniel Lear. He is a director. He has his own production company, Dream Team Productions. He's worked with some of the biggest talent that's been out there. Okay, I'm talking about Michelle Pfeiffer, Mark Ruffalo, and he and his wife are directors, co-directors, and they just came out with another movie. I think this fairly recently, like in the last 3 or 4 months. So tomorrow they're going to be on. Um, 10 o'clock. So don't miss out on that. Um, and then Thursday, we'll see what we have going on for the stream. But yeah, it's that's going to be a really cool interview that got a lot of insight. So, but almost done here, guys. I promise. Okay, we'll wait on that one. Okay, so um, so Deadpool, we can almost establish Deadpool 3 is going to be the perennial number one or number two. This is going to be the other one, Joker 2. This has been a movie that has been highly anticipated for, well, ever since 2019, the success of it. And everybody's, Joaquin Phoenix ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Actor, as he should have. It was well deserved. And it was one of those things where this is a major question. This was $1 billion movie. Do we need a second one? Do we need a second one? Because this could be a standalone movie, and it could do really, really well, and that's it. I'm on the fence, but I see both sides of the perspective here. Because if you don't make it, you're missing out on a lot of money. On the other hand, when you hit a pinnacle, okay, like Todd Phillips did, ended up winning, as I said, he ended up winning, getting nominated for Best Picture. He ended up winning Best Actor, won 11 Academy Awards, or nominated for 11 Academy Awards. And not to say it was a bad movie. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. Look, it touched on mental illness. It touched on, addiction. It touched on a lot of things. De Niro, we had a little great bit in there. I don't know if this movie should have been made, but it will be interesting, especially the way the last movie ended. And if you haven't seen Joker, go back and give it a rewatch. I'm actually going to be doing that for one of the retrospectives, for the 5-year retrospectives for the channel, but that's for another time. But I think this is a really interesting movie. If this is anything like it is thought out to be, when I heard it was going to be a musical, I was a little taken back by it. I'm like, I don't know. Do we really need a musical? I mean, Lady Gaga is phenomenal. I mean, not only is Stephanie beautiful, that's her real name, but Stephanie is beautiful, but she's got vocal cords. I mean, truth be told, I never saw or heard Lady Gaga. I knew of her, but I never heard her sing until the first time I sat down in 2018 to watch The Star is Born. When I tell you the hairs on my arms stood up when I heard her belt out Shallow for the first time, I was floored. That all being said, I'm curious if you think any of the 2024 releases, I think this, I don't know. Maybe this might have the potential just because of the anticipation of it. But remember, we're in a different climate, right? We're in a completely different climate than we were 5 years ago. So the dollar is not, it has to be so good. A film has to be so good right now to make $1 billion. And even then, even if it doesn't make $1 billion, it's still a quality movie. This is a phenomenal shot. This is one shot. You have the rain coming down. You have Arthur looking up, eyes closed. You have the color in the red, in the blue, in the yellow. And this is the first image that came out that really floored everybody. And this is the shot I think everybody wants to see in the movie. What is the context of this? Because we know she's going to turn into Harley Quinn at some point. The question is when. as we get deeper and deeper into this. So obviously, this is this is coming out. I want to say, let me figure this out real quick. This comes out. Bear with me, guys. Do they give a? So Todd Phillips is going to come back and direct. We know that. Brendan Gleeson is in this. Zaza Betts is in this, who was in the first one. Paul Dean, and I believe he ended up writing the first one too. Oh no, so he's most known for Lost. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I'm interested. This has an October. What I do know is this has an October date. There's a lot more images that's going to come out, but it also makes you wonder too that October 4th. Thank you. It makes you also wonder too if they already don't have plans for a third one, right? It could hypothetically, and this is out there, I know. Could Batman show up in the third one? Who knows, right? Because this is a different type of, Elseworld type of thing. I mean, Bruce Wayne was in the first one, so it will be interesting to see. But yeah, so that's Joker 2. What do you guys think about Joker 2? Are you excited for Joker 2? What image of the ones I showed you or have you seen is your favorite? Do you think Lady Gaga is going to do a good job? Are you excited? Are you excited that it's a musical? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll get back to everybody. Okay. I thought they were ending the. I maybe, I don't know. Anything's possible at this point. That's the way. The door is completely wide open. So. And one of the last ones, and look, there was a ton of other movies to come out. But one of the other big movies that is set to be coming out is Kingdom of Planet of the Apes. So this takes place, I want to say 30 or 40 years after Caesar. So this is directed by Wes Bell. I actually thought so. Matt Reeves, if I'm not mistaken, Matt Reeves did do the first three. So this one is okay. Matt Reeves actually did the first couple. Okay. And so, I mean, I remember watching the original Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston way back in the day. This looks really good. It will be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. I think it's been long enough too that the last one came out. Excuse me, the last one came out, and last one came out, and it was enough. It's been enough time that has gone by that I think people are reinvigorated to see it. So that will be interesting to see what goes on with that. I mean, I'm not going to say much because I don't know much. I would have to sit down and actually watch all three films. I got through maybe half of the first one, but I never got through the rest of them. So that will be an interesting one to definitely keep an eye on. Okay, guys, one more. And that is going to do it. So, okay. So we got one more here. And there isn't much about this either. But I do think that it will be interesting to see what goes on with it. And I think this was a happy accident, frankly. Okay. So the last movie that I'm going to be talking about, and really it's very anticipated just to see what, how everything plays out, is Venom 3. Venom was a movie that was very successful. Very successful. Okay. I mean, I think it made close to. So it came out in 2018, and it ended up making a boatload of money. I mean, they had to basically back the trucks in because it made $856 million. Okay, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. I see that question. I'll get to that in just a second, Deadpool. It made a lot of money. The second one, not so much. Because even though it was a setup to it and everything else, and by the way, Andy Serkis didn't do a horrible job with it, but it could have breathed a little bit more. It was a tight, fast 90 minutes. I don't know. I think that after this one, they could have just left well enough alone. But Tom Hardy is one of those guys that he's a rock. He loves doing everything. He did all the voices for Venom, obviously acting in it. He's producing in it. I think that don't really put too much weight into this. I mean, yeah, this is a popcorn movie as well. Absolutely. But I think honestly, like, if this movie doesn't blow up and do those huge numbers they're expecting it to, then I'm not expecting it. There's a difference between like Beetlejuice and Venom, right? Beetlejuice is more funny and everything else. They're bringing, Michael Keaton back, like I said. That's going to do really well because there's nostalgia. And don't forget, he was just in The Flash. He was one of the best parts of that movie. So, I don't know. I think unless they drop some major hints that don't because the rights they're trying to work on a Spider-Man 4. Unless they drop some major hints of like Spider-Man in this movie, and I'm not saying that's going to be the end all be all, but don't look for this to really go to this movie to have fun. That's what I'm going to say. Go to this movie to enjoy yourself because, and that's what Venom is, right? He's funny, he's zany, he's, so. But we'll see what happens with that. Venom is going to be a fun time. So let's get to your question, Deadpool. Do you think if Dune 2 for some reason has a bad reception, that a 2025 release gets moved up to late 2024 to compete with awards? Here's the thing. I think that, by the way, I think it was a good thing they moved because of the strike. Because if you look at the competition out there right now, there's no way this would have even had a chance to compete at the Oscars. I like Dune. It's been a minute, but I do remember I liked Dune. Visually, it was stunning. Dune 2 looks even better. Okay, this is more of an action type of saga, war type of movie. Um, Timothy Chalamet's character is really coming into himself. That being said, there's only one drawback. There's only one drawback of Dune 2, and that is that it's coming out in March. I think a lot of people are going to forget about this. A lot of people. Now, bad reception, I don't think it's going to get a bad reception. I think it's going to be definitely anticipated because, it's been 4 or 5 years. And everybody knew. People forget Denis Villeneuve ripped Warner Brothers a new one. But that's a whole separate thing for a separate time. I don't think it's going to get bad reception. It's an anticipated movie. It's got a stacked cast. Denis Villeneuve is an established director. Blade Runner, Sicario, all these other movies. 2049, by the way, not the first one, obviously. So, the only thing that's going to hamper that is that like I said, it's coming out in March. Now, the one good thing is that there is a lot of great, unbelievable, drop-dead films coming out in between September and December. There just isn't. So I do think that people, because of the lack of that, I think it's going to do well. Now, you brought up an interesting, I don't have any pictures here, but another film that Zendaya is going to be in is Challengers. That's going to be a very interesting movie to see what she can do, and dramatically and everything else. We all know she can act. Okay, Euphoria, Dune. She can do comedy and Spider-Man. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one, to say the least. So, but it's funny because this is a light year. Excuse me, this is a light year when it comes to 2024 films. I mean, I gave you 10, okay, 9 or 10 but they're mostly popcorn movies. And I'm not saying they all have to be dramatic, but it's not like usually this summer was the first time in about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, maybe even more than that every single week it was a banger. Like from May, the beginning of May to August. I mean, Creed, which is like one of my top 10 films of this last year, was in March. And it had to move. I'm not saying that could have been a blockbuster, but it had to move. I mean, you had Guardians of the Galaxy. You had just in any order. You had The Flash. You had Mission Impossible. You had Elemental. You had all of these films. Just boom, boom, boom. Transformers. It's going to be like this next year too. But I think 2024 is going to be kind of a slowish year. But look out, because next year, 2025 is going to be huge. But 2024 is going to be fun too. I mean, just, I'm going to go through a couple of these I don't even have pictures for, but, so you have, I don't know. So Turning Red is getting re-released, which is good to see. As you made mention of Madame Web, okay? What else? You got Kung Fu Panda coming out. You have, for those horror films, you have The First Omen. You have Challengers, which you made mention of. The one I'm really curious to see, is Civil War. That's going to be fascinating. So, Civil War comes out the 26th of April, which is a Friday. But anybody who doesn't know about this film, it's an A24 film. It's about Texas and California seceding from the Union. Given the political landscape right now, it's going to be really, really fascinating to see where this thing swings. You do have a couple of summer releases though, like the Fall Guy. That looks really funny. Okay, um, if I think it's going to be really cute. You got Bad Boys 4. Okay, you've got A Quiet Place Day 1, which I didn't even talk about. Despicable Me 4. You've got Twisters. Okay, Deadpool 3 is coming out at the end of July, which we touched upon. Craven, which run. That's all I'm going to say. Run. Um, yep. Beverly Hills Cop 4. You're right about that. Civil War looks legit. Yeah. Yeah, it does. There is, and I'm not even touching on streaming, by the way, guys. This is just purely theatrical. But yeah, you have Joker, Smiles 2, Terrifier 3, Venom 3 comes out. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is a December release. You got a new Dracula movie coming out. You have a new Karate Kid movie coming out on Christmas. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah. Run. Yeah, that movie looks horrible. Good luck to Aaron Taylor Johnson. It looks. I mean, Madam Web looks better than that. I'll just say that. Madam Web looks better than that. I don't know why they even decided to make a Craven movie. I have no idea. Face purple crying. Yeah. I don't even know why they decided to make that. But okay. I think it's because they felt, you know why? I think they felt because Venom was a success. That, and I think they had the Spider-Man game coming out and everything else, that they were going to do that. But okay, guys. So let's put a bow on this real quick. As I said, tomorrow, 10 o'clock, going to have the Daniel and his wife, his co-director on. They've been running a production company for 15 years called Dream Team Productions. So I'm going to sit down and talk to them about, they making movies and working with great talent, everything else, how they got into the industry, how they met, bunch of things. We'll talk to them. And then Thursday, I'll have to figure out what we'll do for a stream. And then on Friday, you guys are going to be getting another retrospective. So don't forget, every Monday and Friday of the month, you guys are going to be getting a retrospective. The Penguin TV show looks good. Yeah. This I didn't even go into TV. There's a lot of TV out there too. That's why there's so much content. You have to just pick one medium and go straight for it. But yeah, so we got the interview tomorrow. You'll have the retrospective on Friday, and then on Monday you'll have another retrospective. So it's just going to keep coming. And then I think I'm going to try and figure out what we'll do for stream for the rest of the month. So yeah, I mean, if so I'll just quickly just get out of this real quick. Okay, hold on for just a moment. Well, anyways, I'll just tell you that so one of the major things about this channel is I'm trying to grow it, and I'm trying to get memberships and everything else. So Dadpool is a very loyal membership subscriber. Right now, you can go to the page, and I've made them extremely cheap for you guys, and it's $3 just to come in the door, and you guys are going to be helping me out. And my goal is to hit. So we're on the road to 2,000 right now. Okay, and so 2,000 subscribers. My goal by the end of the year, hopefully, and I don't think it's too lofty, is to get 20 to 30 paid memberships. And that way I can bring you guys better content and, start to do more for you guys. I do have that show that I'm trying to put together, Anatomy of a Movie. I want to start to try and get that out to you hopefully in the next couple months. And yeah. Okay, so that is going to do it for me today. Thank everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. And do the 3 things that you have to do. Be safe, be good to each other, and have a great rest of the day. I am David Steele, and you have been watching Real Talks. Bye-bye, guys.